if you would like them to move out. Or put in the reverse, if you're a tenant, how many days notice does your landlord need to give you if they want you to move out? Okay, think about it, pause it. I'm going to give you the answer. 45 days notice. Okay, these are sort of basic things, and everyone should arm themselves with this knowledge if they're in some sort of rental situation. Next one, tenancy for years. The word for years is misleading because it can be for more than a year, it can be for a month, any specified amount of time. And if you see a lease agreement or your landlord gives you a rental agreement, it may say on the top tenancy for years, right? Or periodic tenancy. So that'll clue you into what it is. Commonly known as a 6-month lease, annual lease, a yearly lease, 2-year lease, whatever that is. A lot of landlords prefer this type of tenancy. If it's more than a year, it must be in writing to be legal. Okay. Okay, so that's a different type, tenancy for years. So here's a question. Okay. If you have this type of tenancy for years that expires on December 31st, okay, how many days notice does your landlord need to give you to move out? Okay, now think about this. Okay, how many days notice does your landlord need to give you to move out if that contract expires on December 31st? Okay, pause it, think about it, and really wrap your heads around this. Okay, I'm going to give you the answer now in right here. None. Okay, no notice is needed for that landlord to let you move out. Okay, does that scare you? Okay, it shouldn't actually, because if you see here, the notice was given to you that day you signed the contract. Okay, the cutoff date of the contract is the notice. Okay, and in fact, notice was given when the contract was signed. So if you signed it on December 31st, and it expired a year later, and the following December 31st, the landlord will tell you, well, I gave you notice on December 31st, a year ago, 365 days ago, you received notice. So that's it. Beware of that, okay? Because, some people fall into that legal entanglement, okay? Okay, the last type is called a tenancy at will. Okay, and it's kind of rare to find nowadays. The duration is completely unknown. Either party can opt out at any time. And again, it's kind of a rare thing, but it's important for our discussion because it's going to make relevant the situation of our maka'ainana. Okay, so no duration. It's completely unknown. Either party in a tenancy at will can opt out anytime. If you have this tenancy at will, you want to leave, you can walk out. If your landlord wants you out, they can say get out. There's nothing really needed. Okay, and the example, I said it's rare, and the one example you would find this in used nowadays is here, renting a property while it's for sale. Okay, so maybe someone's put their property up for sale, doesn't want to lose like a rental stream, so they'll rent it out in the interim while the property is being shown, and is the only lease that can be terminated by the sale of a property. Okay, and it's really what defines our pre-mahele feudal type of tenancy. Okay, this is very important. So in the feudal system, the traditional system, the system that existed while Kamehameha unified the islands and before, was this kind of tenancy at will. So think about the maka'ainanas in the ahupua'a, with their daily lives, with religion and everything we've talked about prior in the course. This is the type of tenancy that they had on the land. It was really tenancy at will. They could be dispossessed at any time. The lands could be taken away and given to somebody else. It was kind of an unstable type of situation. Okay, so here's a question for today, and trying to throw you more curveballs because I love it. If you're a landlord, how many days notice do you need to give your tenant to move out? If under a tenancy at will, how many days notice? Okay, think about it. And here comes the answer. 10 days. Actually, you do need to give some notice. Okay. But you can opt out at any time, but 10 days notice. Not much. Okay, here's another question. And this should be kind of intuitive at this point. Is a tenancy at will a weak or a strong type of tenancy? Okay, and think about weak or strong in terms of the bundle of rights. Okay, Is it a weak or strong type of tendency? Okay, think about it. Here comes the answer. It's weak. Yeah, it has a sad face next to it. It's not strong. And it kind of spoke to the position of the Maka'inana, really, right? It was not a strong type of tendency in the traditional system, right? But it's going to turn into a happy face, right? Because the Mahele is going to be a gift from our ali'i. It's going to be a gift from our king to the Maka'inana to own land. And it's going to be one of the most magnificent gifts ever given to them. And so, which is why the Mahele is really, really an awesome thing. Okay, so here we go. Okay, let's get the ball rolling now. Now that we got these basic concepts and understanding of real estate out of the way, let's start plowing ahead. Feudal system, Mahele concepts. Okay, general review. It went from feudal to allodial. Okay, it went from dividing interest. It divided interest, not boundaries. Okay, so we understand already what divided interest is, right? We went from it's a Mahele system, not boundaries. Kalai'aina is carving up boundaries. Mahele is dividing up interest. Okay, and the example of dividing interest. Okay, and actually this goes with number 3, right? It changes from undivided interest to divided interest. You have a system where your interest in a property, interest, just think level of ownership, is undivided to a level of ownership where it's divided. Okay, so stop, take a breath, and think about this. I'm going to use the movie analogy since we already talked about movies. Okay, so say you have a favorite movie theater, okay, and you always go to that same movie theater because you love that movie theater, right? And I don't know about you guys, but have any of you ever just wondered, or thought about, man, every time I come to the theater, I would just like to have a seat waiting for me. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be just glorious, right? Me, I'm a very tall guy. I'm pretty tall, pretty big. I'm actually like 6'3.5". So I like to go down and sit right by the walkway where the railing is, right? Because I like to kick my feet out, and I like to enjoy that. And I always thought, man, if I could just have that seat waiting for me, wouldn't it be awesome? And I know everybody has different preferences where they like to sit. Some people like to sit in the front, some people like to sit in the back. It makes it kind of strange sometimes when you go with a group of friends and everyone's like, I want to sit in the front, I want to sit in the back, or, oh, now up to you, and you sit wherever the group wants to sit. But think about the scenario of walking into a theater, right? That's undivided interest, okay? In that whole space and all those seats in the movie theater, nobody owns a seat. Which is why if somebody gets to that seat that you want before you, you can't tell them to move, right? They now possess that seat. So you got to find another seat. It's undivided interest. Everybody has rights to walk around the whole place, but nobody has rights to claim a seat. They can't say that's my seat, right? You can't come in crying, that's my seat, right? You can't do that. Okay, so you either got to show up early or just take whatever you can take. Okay, that's undivided interest, right? It's a free for all. It's who gets what, and in no particular order. Okay, so if we were to look at that same theater, and then go back to that thought of, wow, you know what? Let's make it so that all of us, since we always come to this one theater all the time, this set group, let's actually get together and say, hey, you know what? You like this seat. I like this seat. Why not let's just assign seats, right? And in fact, let's set up a system where I'll buy that seat and you'll buy that seat, right? And so now we're going to exclude one another and make little boundaries in the theater. And all the seat numbers are going to be assigned to different people. So every time we come to the theater, there'll be no mad rush, and there'll be no trying to rush early, and there'll be no trying to fight over seats. It'll just be like orderly. We all just walk and go check out our seats. We can all watch the movie enjoyment, right? That's divided interest. Okay, so from that randomness of looking for a different seat every time you go to the theater, right? Undivided interest. When you're dividing up interest, you're assigning ownership. Okay, so you're dividing up your interest. Interest is ownership. So now I'm going to purchase this little square, this little seat. And now, so here's what comes with it though. Okay.